Hey everybody, this is Chris Castles. You're watching EHI TV. Today we're going to be working in the bathroom. We got a floor. We do a lot of tile on the floor, but this floor here has a load distribution problem. So it's got a bow in it. What we're going to do is I'm going to show you how we're going to wet set. But before we do anything, we need to take out the toilet. We're going to take the doors off so it's a little easier. We're going to take out the trim molding around the floor. So I hope you enjoy watching this this episode of how to wet set a tile floor, and let's take the toilet up. The first thing you're going to need to do to take the toilet up is you're going to need to get you a crescent wrench. Pretty much you can do everything you need to with just that one tool. But before you do anything, remember to shut the water off. Next thing you want to do is you want to make sure you flush the toilet completely. Get all the water you can out of it. Look at the back. Once you've seen it all, as much go out of it as you can, let go of it. Now, then after you got the water out, you can go ahead and start taking the supplies off, the supply lines. Then you can take off your toilet bowls. Oh, right there, looks like it's already swelled up. Anytime you can, you want to try to, when you got a tub, you want to use that tub for the place to store your toilet while you're working on the floor. But before you put the toilet in the tub, you want to make sure you put something down so you don't get wax and gunk all over it, okay? Now when you take the toilet up, pick it straight up, put it in. Then once you've got it in the tub, go ahead and lean it back. And discharge the water out of it. The toilet will be a little bit lighter when you go to put it back on the floor. Okay, the next thing you want to do after you've done it is you want to clog up this hole, because what you guys got methane gas and stuff like that now coming into the room. You don't want to be out in here working with gases in there. So I'm going to show you how to plug it up real easy. To make yourself a good plug for the toilet hole, what I do is I just take some plastic or some type of filler. I put it inside of the plastic like this. Just put some plastic filler, some paper filler. Plastic's better. In this case, I recycled a bag. You just take it and you just tie it in a knot, like so. And you have a little pillow with air and plastic in it that fits nicely right down inside the hole. Before we put the hole down there, we need to take this up. This is a can't leak seal. Take it just like that. And then right away, plug that hole. And it'll be airtight through your whole job. Now we're going to clean this up, take out the trim, and we'll get started wet setting this floor. Well, I can already see it. There's a problem with the flange. The toilet bolts were right over the area where they actually go in at, so that's why the one bolt wasn't stuck in there at all. So to remedy that, when we put the new toilet down, we'll have to remember to go by the hardware store and get some threaded toilet bolts, and that'll fix the problem. And we'll go right into the plywood with it. The next thing we're going to do is take up the trim. To do that, we're going to need the hammer, the flat bar, and a knife to cut the caulk joint up. We're going to cut the jambs on the door. There's a closet door here. To do that, we're going to use a jam saw. It's down there. And then we're going to use some cardboard, a piece of the Durock that we're going to be putting in here, and a tile to make sure that we hit the right spot. So we cut the tile at the right height, so after the tile goes in, it'll slide in right underneath the door jambs. Now we've marked the jambs, the height that we want them, we can come over to the jam saw. We can adjust it. To adjust the jam saw, we'll just slide it up. Before we cut these jambs, we're going to take the doors off the hinges. So let me show you my little trick how I do that. What I use is a hammer, and I like to use my hot wheel. The reason you use hot wheels is because I can always jam it up underneath, get it up underneath here. That's it, tap on the back of it. No matter how rusty the hinge is, it'll always give way to it. You get plenty of swing from the floor. hammer too, because it's just a small distance there. You go ahead and you take your hinges off, because we're not over carpet or anything, we just roll them on the ground. We're going to be putting some Durock down here anyway. The door's off the hinge now, but it's still secure. Don't ever try to open it. Don't try to take your hinges off with your door open. So many times people do that and the door falls on their head or breaks the hinge off or something bad happens. So after we get these off, this one's already popped up a little bit. Then we can handle the doors a lot easier. Now with the jams all set, the right height, we're ready to cut the jams. Now we're in the yard. We're going to cut some of this perma-base. It's like Durock. It's a cement board, and what we're going to cut it with is a 4-inch grinder. Same thing I cut tile with. But you want to do it with eye protection for sure, and you want to do it outside or in a well-ventilated area. If you can't be in a well-ventilated area, you definitely want to use a mask for it, because stuff will cause you problems. This should suffice for the toilet hole. The toilet to mount to. We'll cut it with the same saw. It's nice to be able to cut this perma-base with this type of saw, because you can make these curves like this. Just like that. Now we're ready to put this baby on the floor. What kind of mud you got there, Zach?
Inset.
Okay. That's that Ultraflex too?
Yep.
That ought to keep that floor from, if it has any movement, I'll keep that floor from breaking, cracking.
It should.
Great job. Okay, now we've got our piece cut, we've got our mud mixed up, we're ready to put it on the floor. We're going to spread the floor, we're going to try to make it level on the sides, and so a little bit thicker on the sides and not as thick in the middle. We're also going to cover whole places like this that if we left them like that, then they could telegraph. Even though it's a cement board, just a small, just an 1/8 inch like that can cause it to telegraph later on. That means it sinks down into it and it breaks the bond on the tile. We don't want to have any broken tiles, so that's the purpose of putting this underlayment down. Keeping it nice and a little bit soupy, not too soupy, but a little bit wet. We don't want it too dry. The floor has